submitting a proposal to Congress that would permit him to wage war against the terrorist group ISIS. This comes on the heels of the news that U.S. aid worker Kayla Mueller had died while being held by that organization. Obama contends that the White House already has the authority to launch airstrikes. On this new proposal, he states, "The authorization I propose would provide the flexibility to conduct ground combat operations in other more limited circumstances, such as rescue operations involving U.S. or coalition personnel, or the use of special operations forces to make military action against ISIL leadership. It would also authorize the use of U.S. forces in situations where ground combat operations are not expected or intended, such as intelligence collection and sharing, missions to enable kinetic strikes, or the provision of operational planning and other forms of advice and assistance to partner forces." Republican Senator Bob Corker from Tennessee has voiced support for the president and promised rigorous hearings in Congress. Quote, "It is my hope that we will fulfill our constitutional responsibility and in a bipartisan way pass an authorization that allows us to confront this serious threat." Secretary of Defense Chuck Hagel also released a statement indicating his agreement with Obama's proposal and stating the importance of bipartisan support for the proposal. If accepted, this proposal would sundown in 3 years. A Reddit user may have offered the U.S. military a solution for the increasing number of rape cases being reported within their ranks. 6,000 sexual assault cases were reported in 2014, an increase from 5,500, while officials say that only 1 in 4 cases are reported. Reddit user Throwaway Paratrooper posted a photo of a sex consent card as a potential solution to the problem. The card states, quote, "I am having voluntary sex. I am not drunk or high. I am over 18. I am STD free," and has blanks for a date and signatures of the couple. Additionally, it states, "Men, keep this in your wallet with a condom. With this card, do not accept an Article 15. Only give this card to your lawyer. Do not confess to the MPs or your boss. Demand a lawyer." The posting has received many comments, which indicates that at least there is the possibility of having a meaningful discussion about ways to prevent sexual assaults in the military. NBC nightly news anchor Brian Williams has officially been suspended for 6 months without pay. This is the result of the discovery that Williams had lied about his experience in Iraq in 2003. Crew members of the Chinook that Williams talked about but hadn't actually been aboard expressed their disappointment in his actions. Quote, "It was something personal for us that was kind of life-changing for me. I know how lucky I was to survive it," said Lance Reynolds, who was the flight engineer. "It felt like a personal experience that someone else wanted to participate in and didn't deserve to participate in." NBC released a statement via an internal memo. Quote, "It then became clear that on other occasions Brian had done the same while telling that story in other venues," Turness wrote. "This was wrong and completely inappropriate for someone in Brian's position. As managing editor and anchor of nightly news, Brian has a responsibility to be truthful and to uphold the high standards of the news division at all times. Lester Holt will anchor nightly news in Williams' absence." I'm Liz Harrison, and this has been your Vigilant Liberty Radio News from Independent Journal Review for Wednesday, February 11th.
Folks, welcome back to the show. This is The Right Mics with Mike Miller and Michael Hausum. If you would like to call in, the number is 412 567 7879. Muchas gracias. Miguel, ¿cómo estás?
Which roughly translates into 412-567-6879 if you would like to opine. And of course, we love people who agree with us and who wouldn't. But we also would like to talk to folks who don't, unless you're bitter and swear and call us names. But anyway, yeah.
Okay, Mike. So I'm looking at a couple of these things right here, and the one that really interests me is the business one. Did you see this about Office Depot leaving Florida after they got all those tax incentives, and some of the money needs to be paid back?
I didn't see that. Did you send me that?
Yes, I did.
You start and I'll look.
Yeah, so here's the deal. Tallahassee, Florida, Office Depot packing up its corporate bags and shipping out of the Sunshine State after receiving millions in state and local taxpayer incentives.
Wow.
And it's because Staples is buying Office Depot. I don't know if you knew that.
I did know that. In fact, my wife and I went to Office Depot over the weekend and talked about that. So, yeah, I have the link up, but I did not know this story.
Now, I don't know about for you. Close by me, there's an Office Max, a Staples, and an Office Depot.
Well, here in Indianapolis, Office Max went out like, I don't know, 3-4 years ago. So we have Office Depot and Staples.
Okay. The Office Max around here, of which there are several, is great. The Staples is even better. And the Office Depot is a hole.
Exactly. I actually bought a laptop for my daughter. Goes back more than several years ago at Staples. Staples is pretty cool.
Yeah, Staples, in my opinion, is the best. Now, what's happening here is everybody in Florida is upset. They got $4.9 million in tax incentives. $3 million of which those tax incentives they get to keep. And so people in Florida are really upset about it. That, well, gosh, they had these incentives. They got to keep this money. It was $3 million from the state, $1.5 million from the city of Boca Raton, and $500,000 from Palm Beach County. So that's what, 4.5, 5, right around $5 million bucks, right? Mm-hmm. 14 months ago. So 14 months ago, they got $5 million worth of incentives. All they had to do was stay put, and now they're leaving. But some of the tax deals they get. And, it seems to me, obviously they played the cronyism game is what they did,
Yeah, like I'm looking at this. Okay, so if they just up and left versus being acquired, I mean, I don't know. Is there a difference there?
In terms of the tax deal?
Well, in terms of why they're leaving.
Oh, okay. No. They're leaving totally because there's really going to be no more headquarters.
Well, that's my point. So there's no headquarters because they were acquired. Mm-hmm. So as opposed to, let's say they got the tax incentives, took the money and ran, right? Mm-hmm. Were not acquired and then moved to Georgia, moved across the state line. I think that's two different issues. So, I mean, I get why people are maybe pissed in Florida, but there are other issues involved here in terms of them being acquired.
Well, let's just assume that they did want to move.
They should have been allowed to move anyway.
They should be able to. Exactly. They make decisions, and if there are penalties for losing some of these tax things, and you know what might end up happening is just maybe, businesses will get, or politicians will get out of the business of creating special incentives, and they'll just create an atmosphere and a climate that treats everybody equally.
Well, yeah, you're getting down to the almost libertarian view, which at that point I agree. This whole notion of tax incentives and come here, and it becomes a bidding war. Little bitty Indiana, we have major Toyota, Honda, One more, Subaru, major production plants here. But, where a state or a city, usually a state, can outbid another state via tax concessions, that has always kind of struck me as being somewhat wrong. I don't know.
Well, you know what? From a business standpoint, we are considering relocating our corporate offices, and we're interested in moving anywhere in the country. We are now putting that out for bid.
We're accepting offers.
We're accepting offers. I totally get that.
I do too.
It's interesting. I put together a video that's gotten a little bit of traction on my YouTube site, and I'm still arguing with Kyle. It's funny. Kyle actually basically dictated the content of it because, he wanted me to do it in such a way that would run on Conservative Daily and the IJ Review Facebook sites. Mm-hmm. But like 4 days later, we're still tweaking things.
Yeah.
But the point of the video is that the state of New York is accidentally making the case for free market economics.
Well, yeah, and they run commercials constantly about it.
Well, what my point is that the Byzantine Gordian knot of business startup.
Wait, stop, because you just went back up the bus. You just went nihilistic on me, Eric Holder. Byzantine. What?
Gordian knot.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, the reference to a Byzantine is reference to the Byzantine Empire, which is needlessly, endlessly complicated.
Right, I know.
Gordian knot is the Greek myth of a knot and the idea is that it is so complicated. And so many, it is so intertwined that the knot itself, it was a...
Look, okay, let me cut this short. I know that, but you scared me when you went Eric Holder. So just go ahead.
Okay, I like to think of it as going William F. Buckley Jr., but...
Let's go with that. Yeah.
Potato. Anyway, that the nature of the unbelievable quantity and complicated details of New York State's various different business incentive programs is basically saying, look, we have created such an unbelievably difficult regulatory and tax environment in the state of New York that you cannot possibly succeed without going through a bunch of processes that will exempt you from having to comply with the myriad regulations.
Right.
So what they've done is that there's one side of the state of New York that exists to just have roadblocks and speed bumps and detours on the way to starting a business. And then there's an entire different group in the state of New York that helps businesses bypass all of those very same things.
Right.
And the takeaway is unfettered businesses succeed and fettered ones don't.
Yeah.
And that's what comes to mind thinking. I mean, the county, the city, and the state did all of these things for Office Depot, and maybe at some point the politicians will realize that, you know what, let's just create a general environment that businesses want to come to begin with, and then we don't have to get all upset by throwing specific, filet mignon on the grill, and if somebody only eats half of it and takes off, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I mean?
No, you're exactly right. And again, pointing out that you and I could simplify everything if everyone would just come to us and ask our opinion and what they should do. That New York thing, by the way, those ads, have you seen them on TV? Come to New York.
Yeah.
To me, that's like the it's like the car company that says lease this car and your first 6 months are on us. Right. But there ain't no free lunch. So somewhere down the line, you're going to get, shall we say, bent over and yeah.
Right. Yeah, I just find it interesting that I suppose the way it is that you know